So, good morning, students. And today we will continue with the same chapter, that is control and coordination, which we have started yesterday. And students, yesterday class work, the class notes I posted in the group. I hope you all have written. Yes or no? You all have written the class notes? Yes, the class work. Okay, fine. Okay, because the continuity will be maintained. Okay. Now you see, students. Okay. Yesterday we discussed about stimuli, response. We discussed about the nervous system, the types of nervous system. Then we discussed about the structure and function unit of the nervous system, that is a neuron. Now, before starting with the today's class, let me recapitulate yesterday's class. Can anyone tell me what is stimuli? What is a stimuli which we discussed yesterday? What is stimuli which we discussed yesterday? Quickly. What is a stimuli which we discussed yesterday? Raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Raise your hand so that I can unmute you. What is stimuli? Nitika, no need to reply through the chat box. It will take time to type the long answers. You just raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Okay, Nitika, let me unmute you. Yes, Nitika, you can unmute yourself.
A quick response according to the change in surrounding.
Very good. A sudden change in the environment which causes a body to show some response. Now, can anyone define response? Can anyone define response? Please don't write in the chat box. It will take time to write. You just raise your hand so I can. Okay, Nitika. Okay, continue.
A quick action towards the stimuli.
Very good. Quick action towards the stimuli. Now, let me ask some other students also now. Nitika, you can mute yourself. Yes. It's Anant. Anant, what is nervous system? What is nervous system, Anant, which we discussed yesterday? What is nervous system, Anant?
Nervous system, nervous system consists of nerve cell, brain.
Definitely the part which receives the messages and interpret accordingly. Okay, definitely. Next.
Yes.
Okay, Anand, you can mute yourself. Abhiraj. Sorry, Abhiraj, you can unmute yourself, Abhiraj. Abhiraj, unmute yourself. Okay. Okay, Amisha. Unmute yourself, Amisha. Amisha, unmute yourself. Amisha, you tell me, what are the two types of nervous system which we discussed yesterday?
Yes, sir.
What are the two types of nervous system which we discussed yesterday?
Peripheral.
Okay. And central nervous system. Okay. Now, Anjali, unmute yourself, Anjali. What are the two components of central nervous system, Anjali? What are the component of the central nervous system? Anjali, unmute yourself.
Sir, brain and spinal cord.
Very good, brain and spinal cord. Yes, Anushka Raj, 10G. Anushka, you can unmute yourself, Anushka.
Yes, sir.
Anushka, what are the component of peripheral nervous system?
Cranial nerves and spinal nerves.
From where the cranial nerves originate?
From the brain.
And spinal nerves?
From the spinal cord.
Very good. So yes, all of you have very well given the reflection of yesterday's class. Yes, correct. All of you have understood the concept. That's nice. And now today we will be continuing. Yesterday we discussed about the structure and briefly the function of the neuron. And today I told you that in detail we will also study the function of the neuron. Now, for this, let me highlight this diagram. Okay. Just a minute. Yes. Now, students, see this image. Yes. This is the axon, and this is the diagram of a nerve ending. A nerve ending is touching a muscle fiber. Now, what happens at the nerve ending? Actually, see, I'm also drawing the diagram. You can see over here. Okay, let me use the just see what happens. This is suppose one nerve ending, okay, and this is suppose the next, the neuron 2, okay. This is the ending of neuron 1 and this is the neuron 2. Now students, see, at the nerve ending, there is a, these rounded structures are there, which is called synaptic vesicles, and within this knob you can see some dotted structure I am drawing. This dotted structure is called the neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter. Okay, the chemicals are present within this. Okay, now what happens when any message, suppose the message is that the water is hot, is passing through the axon and coming to the nerve ending and touching this rounded structure, that is a synaptic knob, this structure burst. And what happened? These neurotransmitters, the chemicals are released and touches the other neuron. But you can see there is a gap between the two neurons. The gap between the two neurons, a special term is there for the gap between the two neurons, and that is called synapse. That is called synapse. So it comes in the examination that what is a synapse? So what is a synapse? Synapse is a gap between the two neurons. What happens at the synapse? When the message which is acquired by the dendrite passes through the cell body and done through the axon and to the end, at the axon, the electrical impulse sets off the release of some chemical, and this chemical crosses the synapse and touches the next neuron. In this way, the message gets transmitted from one neuron to the next. Is it clear to all? Is it clear to all? Is it clear to all how the message gets transmitted? Okay. Some of you have said yes, and some of you have said once again to repeat this. Surely I will repeat this. Now you see. Again, I'm repeating. See students. This is the diagram of the axon, and this is a diagram of the nerve ending. Okay. Suppose this is one neuron, the ending, and suppose this is the other neuron, the ending. Okay, beginning. Now here within the nerve ending, there are some chemicals present. Now, these, when any message means suppose the impulse is coming and the message is coming that the water is hot, and this message is touching these structures. So the chemicals are released from this structure, which crosses the synapse and touches the next neuron. What is the synapse? The gap between the two neurons, that is the synapse. Okay. So let me ask. Yes, Tafshir, now it is clear, and Anand. Tafshir and Anand, is it clear now? Tafshir and Anand, please respond. Tafshir and Anand, through the chat box, you please respond so that, okay, fine. Yes, I got the response. Okay, okay. Now, students, after this, we will proceed to the types of neuron. Now, let me now, students, 1 minute. Yes, students, my whiteboard is visible to you. My whiteboard is visible to you. Whiteboard, the blank board. Okay, fine. Okay, Nisha. Okay, now see. Student, after this, we will be coming, since we have studied about the neuron, how the neuron is functioning, how the neuron transmit the message from the how the message get transmitted from one neuron to the next. So now the next topic which will be coming is the types of neuron. Very important topic. Types of neuron. Student, no need to write, because I will be posting the materials in the class WhatsApp group. Types of neuron. There are actually 3 types of neuron. There are actually 3 types of neuron. Number 1, sensory neuron. Sensory neuron. Number 2, motor neuron. And number 3, relay neuron. Now, one by one, in detail, we will study that what are these. First, the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron. Now, students, see, sensory neurons are the neuron which transmit the message from, now some keywords are there, which transmit the message from receptors to CNS. Now, in your mind, automatically, now immediately a question will come that, sir, what is receptor? Okay, this very important question comes in your mind automatically, that what is the receptor? What is the receptor? Just now, actually, student, the receptors are actually, suppose you are touching hot water. Okay, you are touching hot water with the help of your hand. Okay, skins are present on your finger, and in the skin, the group of cells are present which detect the stimuli. Here, what is the stimuli? If you are touching a hot water, what is the stimuli over here? If suppose, student, you are touching the hot water, what is the stimuli over here? What is the stimuli over here? Can anyone say? If you are touching the Suppose if you are touching the hot water, what is the stimuli over here? The hot water is a stimuli, correct? Very well said. The hot water is a stimuli. Yes. So receptor are the group of cell. I'm writing over here. Receptors are group of cells that detect stimuli. Did you understood what are receptors? Receptors are the group of cells that will detect that the water is hot, and they will pass the message to the CNS. So you can understand the component of the CNS. What is CNS? Central nervous system. That means receptor will pass this message to where? Can you guess if I'm saying CNS? Can you guess where it will pass? It will pass to, very good, brain and spinal cord. Very good. Brain and spinal cord. Correct. Brain and spinal cord. So what are sensory neuron? The sensory neuron is a type of neuron that will transmit the message from the receptor to the CNS. Now see, next we are coming to the motor neuron. Next we are coming to the motor neuron. Motor neuron. Now what is a motor neuron? The motor neuron are the neuron that transmit message from CNS to effector. Another new term to you all. What is effector? Now see, you are touching the hot water with your hand. Your skin have the receptor detect that the water is hot, and now this message goes to the brain. The brain interprets and store. The brain keeps the message, the message reaches to the spinal cord, and now you are pulling your hand apart. So the effectors are present in the muscles. Suppose this is there, the effectors are present in the muscles. And what is the role of that effector? To show the action toward the stimuli. So what are effector? Effector, we will be saying, how can we define the effector? Effector are the group of cells that shows action towards the stimuli. Shows action towards the stimuli. Is it clear to all what is a effector? Is it clear to all what are effector? Okay, fine. Okay. Now students, see, the last type of neuron is there, that is called the relay neuron. That is the relay neuron. Just yes, student, the screen is visible to you. Screen is visible. Okay. Okay. Some of you have said to once again. Okay. I'm repeating the effector once again. See, students, you are taking a hot water. You are touching the hot water with the help of the finger. On your finger, the skin is there. And I said within the skin, there are the group of cells which are called receptor that detect the stimuli. Okay, they will detect that the water is hot. Now that message will be sent to the central nervous system. And from the central nervous system, the message will go back to our effector. Effectors are present in our muscle. We will pull our hand apart because it's not like that for the 5 minutes you are keeping the hand immersed in the water and then you are taking your hand apart. You are doing it very quickly. Okay, you are doing it very quickly. So this is the effector. Anjali, effector is clear to you? You said it to repeat once again. Anjali, effector is clear to you? Okay. Okay. Now, students, the third type of neuron, is there, and that is called relay neuron. Student, relay neuron I have now written. Okay. Now see, student, what is a relay neuron? There is a gap between the sensory and the motor neuron. And who connects them? The relay neuron connects the sensory and the motor neuron. This, with the help of a diagram, which is there in the reflex action, I am just showing this to you. Just a moment. Yes, students. Yes, this diagram is visible to you now, which I have shared on the screen. The diagram is visible, reflex arc. Fine. Okay. Now you see, student, in this diagram, both the reflex arc and the reflex action concept will be clear from this diagram parallelly. A hot water is there in a pan, and you are touching the hot water with the help of your hand. Receptors are present in the skin, which just I have shared. Sensory neuron is there, which will transmit the message from the receptor to the CNS. Okay. And now you see, motor neuron is there, which is connected to the effector. But there is a gap between the sensory and the motor neuron. This part is very important, student. The gap between the sensory and the motor neuron. So this gap is connected by the relay neuron. Now, what is this figure is showing? Actually, we are touching the hot water with the help of the hand. We are pulling our hand apart very quickly. This action is called reflex action. So what is a reflex action? A quick involuntary action shown towards a particular stimuli. Okay, it's very quick. It's not like that for the 5 minutes you are touching a stimuli and after 5 minutes your body will show the reflex action. Not like that. Your body will immediately show the reflex action. And this pathway from receptor to the sensor neuron to the CNS, again from the CNS to the effector, this pathway is called the reflex arc. Is it clear to all? This pathway is called the reflex arc. So the three type of neuron is clear to all? All the three type of neuron is clear to all? The three type of neuron is clear to all? Okay. Okay. Then, seeing this diagram, let me ask you. Yes, Amisha, what are the three types of neuron, Amisha?
Sensory neuron, motor neuron, and relay neuron.
Very good, Misha. Okay, Misha. Now next, Akshat. Akshat, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Akshat, what is sensory neuron?
Sir, sensory neuron transmits messages from receptor to CNS.
Very good. Anant, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
What is motor neuron, Anant?
Sir, motor neuron transmits message from CNS to effector.
CNS to effector. Very good. Okay. Now, Harsh. Harsh Raj, unmute yourself. Harsh Raj, unmute yourself. Harsh, unmute yourself, Harsh. Okay. Okay, Mohit Singh, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
What is relay neuron, Mohit?
Relay neuron occurs in the central nervous system where they has link between other neurons.
Okay, link with
Yeah,
link the sensory and
gap
the motor
between
neuron.
sensory neuron.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, good. So types of the neuron, and now students, yes. Now students, just now students, we will come to the next topic. As we have studied student the receptors, now we will be seeing the types of receptors. Types, just types of receptor. See, what are the different type of receptors? My editable board is visible now. The types of receptor which I have shared with you all. Types of receptor which I have written is visible. Fine. Okay, Nisha, I got the response. Fine. Types of receptors. See, on the basis of the different type of the stimuli, the receptors are also classified. Now let us see how it is classified. Number one, photoreceptor. Photoreceptor. Now, student, can you guess what can be the stimuli over here from the name photoreceptor? Who will be the stimuli? Who will be the stimuli? Very good. Yes, it's light. Correct. Light. Light is the stimuli over here. And who will detect this stimuli? Eyes. Correct. Very good. Photoreceptor. They will detect the light. Next, the second type of receptor, phonoreceptor. 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 Again, yes, your guess is correct. Very correct. It will detect, yes, sound. Very good. This type of receptor will detect sound. Phono. And who will detect this stimuli? It's the ear. So the receptors definitely is concerned with our sense organ. The third type of receptor, thermoreceptor. Thermoreceptor, it will detect, yes, it will detect heat. Our skin is responsible for detection of this type of stimuli. Next, after thermoreceptor, we detect heat. We have now olfactory receptor. Olfactory receptor. This will detect smell. And our nose is responsible for this. Next, gustatory receptors. And what these are doing? Gustatory receptor detect taste, and it is present in our tongue. Okay, phonoreceptor, photoreceptor, thermoreceptor, olfactory receptor, gustatory receptor. Last year, no, not last year, 2 to 3 years back in the board examination, this question appeared that where is the olfactory and the gustatory receptors are located, and what is their role? So olfactory receptor located definitely in the nose, gustatory receptor are located in the tongue, and the olfactory receptor, they will detect the smell. The gustatory receptor will detect the taste. Am I clear to all? Till this is clear to all the students? Types of receptor. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay. Yes. So today, in today's class, we discussed about how the neuron works, what are the types of the neuron, what are the types of the receptor, the reflex action and the reflex arc. Now, any point which you would like to clarify again? Any point? Because in our next class, we will be starting with the human brain. Any point? Now, student, one question to you all. All of you will see this question which I am writing. Very important question. What is the role of brain in reflex action? What is the role of brain in reflex action? What is the role of brain in reflex action? Can anyone guess? Because, just a moment. Let me show you once again the diagram of the reflex arc. Now, student, here you see, just a moment. The screen share is loading. Okay. You see here in this diagram, student, the message is going here, see, spinal cord, and the message is sent to the brain. So what is the role of the brain over here in the reflex action? Because the message is going to the spinal cord first. In the pathway, you can see the spinal cord. Then what is the role of the brain in the reflex action? Can anyone guess? Can anyone guess what is the role of the brain in reflex action? Anyone? Very good, Anjali. Brain is not a part of reflex action. Does it give command? It provide message to brain. Okay. Many of you are guessing also. Okay, see, student, one thing. Suppose you are entering your class 10G after the assembly. First bench is having a, suppose, a nail coming, protruding out. Okay, a nail protruding out, it's there in the first bench. All of a sudden you're crossing, you are getting a pinch from there. Okay, so your body is showing the action, you are pulling your body apart. But the next day, when you will cross from the same very bench, so again, what it will be, you will become more conscious or not, and your body will remember that a nail is there, and you will try to move your body apart. Yes or no? So what the brain is doing? The brain is the storekeeper of the memory. It is not a part of the reflex action. It acts as a storekeeper of the memory, that suppose this day you have got this, you are hurted here, so you should, or we can say the next day you will be aware of this. So who will remind you of being aware of this? It is the brain. Okay, so remember this question, maximum time in the examination it is asked that what is the role of the brain in reflex action? Is it clear to all? What is the role of the brain? Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. So at last, again, can anyone tell me what do you mean by reflex action? What do you mean by reflex action? Okay, Nisha, very good. Very quickly raised your hand. Nisha, unmute yourself, Nisha.
Involved action shown towards stimuli.
Okay, Nitika, you want to share something else? Okay, you can share, Nitika, unmute yourself.
quick voluntary action shown towards the stimuli.
Quick action showed toward the stimuli. Very good, Nitika. Now, Nitika, okay. Next question to Anushka. Anushka, what is a reflex arc?
Yes, sir.
What is reflex arc, Anushka? Reflex arc. Yes, Anushka. Okay. So my yes, yes, Anushka, I've unmuted you.